Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well.
Coach Jody's our new moderator from our.
Jody, you're following a legend, so you got
I know I got some big shoes to fill here today.
you really do. You got a plate full, man. I'll say a few things, Jody, then let open it up for questions. It's been a tough week and an eye-opening week for all of us when you lose young people like the tragedy at Virginia. And a lot of people have asked me, what are we going to do? How do we tribute? Do we do a tribute of some kind on Saturday to the team at Virginia and the young people that lost their lives? And the ACC is sending out helmet decals for every team, and all of us will wear a Virginia decal on the back of our helmets for those young people that we lost entirely too early. And I even broke down yesterday talking to our team about it. And when you think about it, what an awful thing for young people to leave us way too soon. I mean, I'm older. I've had a great life. I've been married. I've got children. I got grandchildren. I've had a wonderful career. If something happened to me, I got it. We're good. I've had a great life, but young people shouldn't be taken away from us. And I think that's the thing that we all have to look at is what can we do to keep our families safe and our children safe and moving forward. Again, it's not a political statement, but what can we do? We've got to help in America to keep these things from happening because this is useless to lose these young people. And our thoughts and prayers are sure with them. As they all try to hang in there. As I can't imagine families having that call. As I said, when I got the text from our daughter who parks in that parking garage every day, I thought about losing her and losing our grandkids. And then when I was talking to the team, I said, you know what, this I relate this to you guys because I don't want to be in a position where we lose one of you. I've already lost a player to a truck accident in 2001. And I think about it every day. Still have a lot of communication with the dad. So good for the ACC that we will all be able to show our pain and our sorrow and our thoughts and our prayers on the field with a helmet decal. Secondly, this is military appreciation game. We have a cancer appreciation game, a cancer awareness game every year. And appreciation for those who are fighting it. And this is a military appreciation game. And we've got 3 veterans on our staff. Charlton Warren was a Special Forces hero, basically for 10 years with the Air Force. Dean Maggie is one of our strength coaches that served. And Drake Fontenot is one of our nutritionists. So they will all be honored by our team this week for their service. And then we've given the team an opportunity to pick anyone that is in the service, been in the service, or lost their lives in the service for that family to dedicate the game to them. So it's really, really important that we thank all of our veterans and really our current military. I spent 10 days in Iraq on the front lines and saw it firsthand with we're over here getting ready for a football game, and they're having missiles coming into their barracks, and they're being shot at and in combat and in war every day. So we really we should thank them every day, but this is an opportunity to publicly say thank you to all of our service people. The Georgia Tech game is just about sold out. There's some tickets coming back from what I've heard from Georgia Tech. So you that don't have a ticket, continue to call and work to get there. Let's get everybody in that stadium as early as we can. 5:30 is kind of a unique time for a ball game. But you students, come on, man. Let's get in there early and let's have that stadium rocking on Saturday and let's give an appreciation to the way that this team is played this year. And I know people are already buying tickets to the championship game, so we encourage you to do that. We don't want it full of just orange because we know those Clemson folks are going to come. So get out and get your tickets to the Georgia Tech game. Let's finish that. NC State's already sold out the way I've been told. And then we need to make sure that there's a great group of our fans when we get to Charlotte. This week, practice has been good, much better than the week that we had at Virginia, where I was concerned. The guys have had 2 really good practice sessions. Georgia Tech's got their attention. You start looking at Georgia Tech and their win against Duke at home is very impressive because we know how good Duke is. But the game that grabs your attention is the win at Pittsburgh. They go to Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh on the road. That's a very, very impressive win. So the other things that you like so much about Georgia Tech is they're plus 11 with turnover margin. They're 5th in the NCAA. They've gained 22 turnovers. I think we've gained like 7. So it's not even close. They've been the best in our league at what they do. And they've only lost 11 turnovers. So they're 23rd. They're 5th in the NCAA in gaining turnovers and 23rd in the NCAA with losing turnovers. So they've played hard. They've played well. They've had injuries at quarterback that have disrupted them some. They're one of the best defenses we'll play. You start looking at the 2 linebackers are as good as any that will play. They're fun to watch. They're both seniors, but yet Charlie Thomas and AC, they're big, they're fast, they're aggressive. Their defense plays aggressive. Keon White, those are all seniors, but he's one of the best pass rushers in the league, number 6. So they're very impressive, and our fans will enjoy watching them because they're fighting for a bowl game, and these are all seniors, so they're going to fight to try to get another game. And then you look at their tailbacks are all really good. They've got home run speed, and they'll try to line up and be physical and run the ball against us because we haven't consistently stopped it. But one of the best players in the country, again, is Nate McCullum, number 8. He's like Josh Downs. He is really hard to cover, and nobody's covered him all year. So they've got a lot of really good players. Jeff Collins did an outstanding job recruiting in his 3 years because he came in so late. He had just a couple of days the first year, and then he had the next 2 years to recruit. And Brent Key's one of theirs. He's an offensive lineman that played there. He played really well there. And the guys have all rallied around him, and they're going to fight their guts out for these last 2 games for sure. Defensively, we've got to keep getting better. It's impressive that our defense is getting better, especially with as many guys as we lost. So next man up, and that's what we've said. And the defensive coaches haven't griped at all about what we've lost, haven't even talked about it. They've just said that's college football. A lot of people have people you lose. You worry about the young people you lose, but you got to keep moving forward. And offensively, we've just got to keep playing. We just have some times in the game we're playing so well, but then we have times in the game where we just don't finish things. And we've got to do that. And we've got to do that better here the last 3 games. So questions?
Andrew, lead off.
Adam should show you how to unmute. There you go, Andrew. I know we haven't been on Zoom much.
Adam and I left the Dean Dome at about 3 a.m. So
you can't have excuses. You got to step up. You got to have an edge.
Bring my A game.
You got to be ready to play. Yes.
We had Drake yesterday, as we do every Tuesday, and almost all the questions were about the Heisman. In fact, Jeremy even had to kind of steer us on to Georgia Tech at one point. You've had 3 guys that were right in the heat of the Heisman candidacy. 1 guy won it. Can you take something from how they handled their experiences, especially as the hype grew late in the season, and apply that to Drake? Or is Drake just a guy that is so good at deflecting stuff, you're not really worried about that?
No, it's a tremendous amount of pressure. At one time at Texas, we had 2 or 3 guys up for the Heisman on the same team. And that's difficult because how do you handle that? How do you push Cedric Benson and Vince Young and guys like that at the same time? What I actually told the team this morning, the Heisman's a team award. So don't talk about it. Win games. And if you win and we keep playing good, those awards, not only the Heisman, but Blint-McCough Award and all the awards that are out there go to guys that are on winning teams and keep producing. So don't talk about it. It's just like the Coastal. It's just like the ACC championship game. You got to win to get there. And you got to keep getting better to get there to play Clemson. So don't talk about it, get better. And that's the same thing with all the awards. So Andrew, the biggest thing we did is just kept telling the guys, you got to keep playing and you got to keep playing well. And I told the team, you want to get awards, you want your guys to get awards, win games. And that's what it comes down to, nothing else. And what we say and what we do and how many pictures Jeremy puts out, none of that matters. It's about winning and it's about performance. And that's what we've got to continue to do.
In your cases in the past, when you had guys that were in the running for it, did you ever worry about any of them maybe letting it get to them or them being a little bit too consumed with it? And on the other side of that question, is Drake the kind of guy that processes what's in front of him so much that you're really not concerned about how he's going to process these weeks?
I don't worry about that because Drake's played well every week. And he's a redshirt freshman. None of us knew that he would be this consistent, and he's done that. So I'm not going into game 11. We know who Drake is. He's confident. He's competitive. He wants to win. He would rather win than get the Heisman Trophy. I can tell you that without question. And he's raised in a family that has had a bunch of awards, and he's raised in a family that have won national championships. He's raised with a dad that was the leading passer in the ACC. So I don't think this stuff bothers him much.
Cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go Luciano, followed by Michael, and then Adam.
Hey, Coach. I hope you're doing well, and thanks for your time. Does last year's loss to Georgia Tech help your team not look ahead to your games against the best defense in the league and Clemson in the ACC championship game?
Well, I would think so, Luciano, because it helps me make sure I'm focused on Saturday. When you go back and look at they rushed for 263 yards and we rushed for 63, and they had 8 sacks and forced 3 turnovers and we gained none. Absolutely. And same players. They absolutely just lined up and whipped us and did it without question. So yes, it's been brought up and a lot of our same players are playing against a lot of their same players. So we fully understand that this game was more important to them last year than it was us, which is not good, and that we've got our hands full on Saturday. That's why everybody on this team is talking about Georgia Tech, not all the other stuff that could be around to be distractions. And I think the fact that we didn't play as well against Virginia has also helped us this week, because we said you stand around. It's not the best team. It's the best team on Saturday. And Georgia Tech's coming to be the best team on Saturday. So we'll have to play well.
Michael?
Mac, earlier this week, Hubert Davis was saying that he scheduled one of his team's practices so that they could watch your game at Virginia. Well, how would you describe your relationship with Hubert since you've been back?
Well, I love Hubert. We were here together before, and I was so excited when he got the job, and I was around him at ESPN, and he's just he's a joy to be around. He's smart. He's competitive. He's a lot of people. He's very, very nice, but he's a lot tougher and more competitive than people think he is. And Courtney texted me the other day, and our ladies moved their practice around so they could have a watch party right after their practice to watch our games as well. So this is a very, very close athletic department, and all of us pull for each other, and all of us help each other recruit. And it's one of the coolest things about being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam, followed by Tommy.
Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Adam. It's amazing what doing away with mute does. You learn from Andrew. So you learn from Andrew's mistakes. I got it. We've got to learn from mistakes and move forward.
Well, that just tells us that you were close
I'm
by
happy to help.
Josh when he was giving his interview, which we don't want that. You're affecting his answers. He wasn't going to say anything with you standing there. So
There you
maybe
go.
we
I
can work on
was
that.
sitting over here. These kids are so smart. I hate to follow them. That's what I told Jabari. I'm going to start going first so I don't have to look like a fool.
Well, I was going to ask along the same lines about Georgia Tech, and you know, we all heard you Monday when you said you threw up when you were looking at the game from last year. Like the odds makers. I don't know if I've ever asked you a question about the line, but the line is you guys are a 21-point favorite. I mean, do you cringe when you see that? Do you laugh when you see that? I mean, it seems almost amazing given what the type of games this team plays seems like week in and week out. Your team, I'm saying.
Yeah, we wouldn't be a big favorite playing us. It's going to be a close game. We've decided that regardless of what we do. And last year's wasn't even close. And I think we were a big favorite last year.
You were.
So it absolutely doesn't matter at all.
Fair enough, Mac. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Tommy, then Luciano again.
Mac, I wanted to ask you a question about Georgia Tech, but first a question about the challenges as a coach, as a coaching staff today versus maybe when you started sort of being a parent, and for all these guys, for 120 plus guys in the climate we're living in, social media, violence, all that type stuff. How has that changed over your career, accomplishing, keeping your guys safe and on the right path and all that stuff?
Tommy, it's changed so much. It's a great question, and it's one of the reasons that I think people questioned whether I could come back and coach at 71 years old or not. Because can you relate to the kids, and can you talk to them on their level, and can you get them to listen to you? And those are all valid questions and all good questions. I don't think kids have changed that much. The game's changed so much with social media, early recruiting. You start looking at transfer portal, you start looking at NIL. All those things are new and different. And what I've found, Tommy, is they want you to care about them, and they want you to be honest with them. And I told the guys after practice this morning that the transfer portal opens up on December 5th. And there'll be some of you that are graduating and not playing a lot. You're going to want to still play, and we'll help you go somewhere else. And there's some of you that aren't playing. And if you're unhappy and you're not playing and you want to go somewhere else, let's finish this season. I don't even care if you go in the transfer portal and keep playing for the bowl game. That's fair, because we're all trying to figure out the guidelines now of the transfer portal. So we don't want the guys to wait too long. But it's their life. And what we've told them, Tommy, is there's really two different dynamics on this team. Is you got the group on the field that's playing, and we've got to play the guys that we feel like can win the game. That's what you have to. You got to win games. And whether you agree with us or not, we've got it. You don't have to agree with us, because you think you're better than we think you are at this time, or we would be playing you. So if you don't like that, don't be angry. Transfer, and we'll help you do that. And we told the other guys the same thing. If you're going to stay, you got to play good. Then off the field, we're going to take care of all of you. We're going to try to help every one of you. We're going to, like I said, I address issues every day with them. Every time a college football player gets in trouble or a pro player gets in trouble, I send it on Teamworks to them and say, make good decisions. Every time. We address mental health a whole lot. We address drugs and alcohol a whole lot. We address the Virginia situation, and you've got players on our team who were close to some of those guys that lost their life. So that's heavy. It's tough. So we addressed it and said it's really hard. And I sat there and told them, I don't want to lose you all. And we love every one of you. We want to help every one of you. And if you stay here, we want to help you prepare yourself for life after football. The hardest thing, I think, Tommy, for a head football coach is that it's every minute of every day you're having to give everything you've got to all of these young people to make sure that you can help them stay happy, stay out of trouble, move forward, understand what goes on in your life. And if they say something inappropriate, all we can do is say, come on, here's why that's not right. Don't do it. Apologize for it. And let's move on. I told them, don't go to the wrong parties. People used to shove and push and fight and yell at each other when I was in school. Now you get shot at the wrong party. So if you walk into a place and you don't feel comfortable, get out of there. Get out of there. So, but Tommy, it's constant, and we've got 120 players. There's 53 staff members. So you got issues every day. Somebody's mad every day. Somebody's gotten something hurt or wrong, or it's just, you worry about them driving. You worry about them being on scooters on campus. I mean, they're just, so you're just constantly talking to them like they're your family, because they are an extended family.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
We'll go Luciano, Art, and then Ross.
Coach, the offensive line has shown great improvement from last year to this one as far as sacks allowed are concerned, but you have allowed 7 in the last 2 games. Has that been a point of emphasis this week, and why do you think that may have been?
Well, it's a lot of different things that we've learned. Sometimes we hold the ball too long. Sometimes it might be a tight end. Tight ends are not as good, or running backs are not as good a blocker as the offensive line because they don't pass protect all the time. Sometimes it may be a bad check. So there are a lot of different reasons, but we don't want to have 3 and 4. And it's really important this week, and it has been emphasized this week since we gave up 8 to this bunch last year.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Art, you up next, then Ross.
Hey, Mac, want to kind of end this on a lighter note, but I can't exactly remember the story you told about Ricky your first year at Texas, where you didn't think he was paying attention to the Heisman, and then you saw his email. Can you tell that story?
Yes, and I don't think you're ending it. Are you throwing Ross out, Art?
No, I'm ahead of him.
Oh, okay. I got that. No, I didn't know. I talked to Ricky a lot at that time. He was wearing dreadlocks, and it was obviously a lot earlier in our career, and we didn't have kids here wearing dreadlocks. And Ricky said, I talked to some of your players, and they said that you wouldn't let me wear dreadlocks. You were a player's guy and you were great, but you wouldn't let me wear dreadlocks. And I just said, can you tell me why you wear it? Because I'm responsible for you getting a job when you get out. And I said, is it religion? Is it, give me something that'll help me here. And he said, no, I like Bob Marley music. So it's Bob Marley. And then I said, well, you may not win the Heisman because there's a lot of older people that vote, and some of them wouldn't like dreadlocks. And he said, if they can't see me as a player and can't see my heart, I don't care what they think about my hair. I'm not, it's not a hair contest. It's who's the best player in college football. So I didn't think he was interested, and he just said, I'm not interested if that's what has to happen. So obviously we let him keep his hair. In fact, I wore a dreadlock wig for Thanksgiving. He was so good, and he was right. It was not about hair. It was about who he was as a person. But then when I did see his email, it was Ricky Williams, Heisman.com. So, or Heisman.com. So I did know that he had full intention of winning the Heisman.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, Ross, you're up next.
Hey, Mac. Just wanted to, at 9-1, there's a lot more attention on your program. 13 in the college football playoff, Heisman candidate. Was wondering if there's any interesting or unusual attention being brought on, or conversations with boosters, or anything else that's been different given the season y'all are having right now.
Ross, I think it's just what you said. It's just a lot more attention. The radio show was packed more than even close to what it's been for the previous 3 years. There's a lot more people wanting to come to practice. Excuse me. I get a lot more text messages about this is fun, or you got to finish, man. You got to win the next one. It's funny. And I have a lot of friends here from the past, and they'll come up and we're getting ready to play Duke, and they'll say, Duke's important to me. And I say, well, then we'll try to win. I mean, come on, man. And then they come back and say, well, you know that we beat Duke now, Pitt. We got to beat Pitt. I said, yeah, we got to beat everybody. I got it. Then somebody says, you got to beat Clemson. I said, we played Georgia Tech. Come on, man. It's about Georgia Tech. So it is kind of funny that everybody gets excited and everybody's got opinions. And the other thing, Ross, that I get so much that's really funny is they'll say, have you mentioned to them that Georgia Tech is forcing a lot of turnovers? I said, yeah, I've mentioned it to them a couple of times. I mean, it's nearly like we don't look at the video or we don't have stats or something with some of these people. They want to win so badly that they're just trying to help us.
Anybody else for Coach today? Tommy, you got a follow-up. Go ahead.
Mac, sort of a fun question. It's a debate that may be raging some on some social media outlets. From a pure perspective from the program's benefit, college football playoff appearance or a Heisman Trophy, which is bigger? And I know the answer is why not both, but you've been around it. You've seen how it affects schools and all that. What would you say to that?
Absolutely winning a national championship. That's what you're trying to do. We as a team and Vince Young lost the Heisman Trophy to Reggie Bush in 2005. And we probably had a better chance to win the national championship by losing the Heisman, because the Heisman Trophy winner gets so much attention and he gets distracted and he gets pulled all over the place. Vince called our team that night and said, game on, man, game on. And then had an unbelievable game. So to me, the Heisman Trophy is a team award, but it's about an individual getting all of that attention. You get in the playoff, that gives you a chance to win the national championship, and you're on a short run there to get that done. So absolutely, Tommy, it's winning the national championship at Texas was so powerful. Admissions was up, fundraising was up, attention was up, recruiting was up. We had so many people coming in to visit our from high school coaches that we couldn't even meet with all of them. We had to start scheduling times that we would meet with high school and college coaches that were coming in. Our camps were full immediately. We had to go like 10 days at camp to get enough kids done. So and then in 2010, when we got Colt McCoy hurt and lost to Alabama, if you're second, you're second. I mean, it was not good at all. It was a team that was 25-2 and disappointed that we didn't finish right. So it is absolutely about winning first your conference championship and then about winning your national championship. What I've sold to these guys is that to do those things, you have to keep getting better. And that's why you can't look ahead. You got to play to a standard. And we've said that all the time, but you have to practice and play to a standard to get to be able to beat people in the end. And if you don't do that, it's not going to end well for you. Talking about it does no good. Preparing for it does.
All right. Coach, we don't appear to have any further questions, so thanks for your time this morning.
Great. Are you all going to evaluate Jody and give him a grade?
Jody did great, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, JB.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you on Saturday.